So we've got a group flight later, if you want to get prepped for that. That's you finished with the flour delivery, yes. The flour was successfully delivered and the bread has been baked. And now we're doing an onward flight. Possibly involving bread. I'm not sure. It's just some goods, as far as I know. Actually, I think it tells us on here what it is. Oh, it's electronic devices. Electronic devices with bread inside. Yeah, we're flying to Korea. Yeah, if you keep going west, you actually end up back where you started. It's quite cool. Unless you're a flat earther, in which case you fall off. You got a full-time job as a nursing assistant. Nice. You've just entered Green Hell. What a game. It is a bit brutal. Mr. Glynn, with 66 months. Hope all is well. I'm doing fine. Thank you, Glynn. Hope you're well. Yeah, so we're in CYYU. Fuel's quite cheap. However, we already had a lot of fuel. And we're going to have to dump a tiny, tiny amount, like 2 gallons of fuel, in order to make the gross weight here. Can't even bump it up 1%. It's that tight. So we're going maxed out when we take off. You've died once already. It sounds like you need to put the difficulty level up. You should be dying many times. I'm not joking. I think I started playing the game on quite a high difficulty and just constantly dying until I got good, and then I was fine. Do you think you'll still use FSE 2? Yeah. Yeah, I can see myself using both. I don't really have a particular preference. Johnny Radcliffe, loving the videos and streams. Thank you for 2 months on Prime, Johnny. You're on the second easiest one. No, come on. You want to be on the second most difficult. That's what you need to do. It's like on Air, you know, I started it in ultra hard mode. You know, yesterday on Long Dark, we started one off ultra hard. That's what you want to be. You want to be challenged. What's your thoughts on the platform of On Air? Is it really good compared to other platforms? I don't really know how to answer that question. It is what it is. It, like anything, it has its great points and it has its like not so great points, and it's very much under development. So I mean, that's the one thing you can say about it, is it's evolving. Unlike some other stuff, it's actually going somewhere. Microsoft Flight Sim Flat Earther Edition. See, what I want to know about the flat Earth concept is what's on the other side. Like, you've got the world that we know about that's mapped out. What's on the other side? It's like a piece of paper, isn't it? Like, what did they... Is it just a giant doodle of a smiley face on the other side? Like, how does it work? Cake. It's just cake, is it? That's not so bad. I suppose what are we doing on this side then? If we go around the other side, we can all eat cake. Why stay on this side? That's where the aliens are. Okay. Right, let me check the options. We should be on 0-hour offset, which we are. Let's get this thing loaded up. Oh, you scumbag game. There we go, 1% fuel. Let's get that loaded. Yeah, page 2. Somewhere on the bottom of the Earth it says PTO. Probably somewhere down in Alaska. Wait, what was the destination? KARV, I think. Was the destination for this job? Yeah, KARV. 2.9 minutes to load cargo. Slink, thank you very much for subbing. Welcome to the house, Slink. Is it like the dark side of the moon? I don't know. Do flat earthers believe the moon is flat as well, out of curiosity? Or do they accept that that the moon is not flat. I don't know, Flats, in fact, man. I think some of them genuinely believe it. Some people are genuinely, like, that dumb. The moon is a painting nailed to the sky sheet. I like it. So the sky is flat as well. The sky is just like a 2D painting. Some people believe the moon is a hologram. Wow. I mean, surely all the flat earthers need to do is go up in a plane. That's all you need to do. Just go up in a plane, go high enough, and you'll see that it's not flat. If you dig through the earth, would you come out the other side upside down? No, you'd melt on the way through. You wouldn't come out of anything. It's like molten iron in the middle. Don't think that's going to happen. Oh, the moon's cheese. So on the other side of the earth is cake, and the moon's made out of cheese. Love it. We could have cheese and cake. It's the curved windows in the plane that make it like it's not flat. Yeah, all the footage they've seen of the curved earth, they're just like, yeah, that's just the GoPro. That's the GoPro is making it look bent, but it's actually flat. The wide angle lens and the GoPro, right, okay. It's to see if I can remember how to fly this thing. Let's go. Almost loaded. While that's loading, I should actually just show you the route, shouldn't I? So we are in Canada. As you can see, we have VFR maps for the US. So we're hoping to get back in to the States, into Carve. So we're going to be trundling over some water. Another very big lake by the look of it. Actually going overhead. CMX. Horton County Memorial. Dollar Bay. I like the sound of Dollar Bay. Now what we can do, because if we actually look at the weather down at the airfield, down at Carve, the weather is 150 at 8 knots. So it's actually favouring 1/8, which is great for us because we'll just fly straight into 1/8. And if you actually look at the procedures into Carve, we can see we've got an RNAV. So we choose RNAV 1/8, and then think about the entry point. We could either go straight into Fegog, or we can go via the diner. I quite fancy going via the diner. So we'll get some cake at the diner on the way in. Right? Just before we land. So that'll be your snack today. And hopefully this information is in, because I've got Navigraph loaded, so hopefully it's got all this routing as well. So there we go. We can actually plan our approach in through the diner. So that'll be our routing today. Can you fly Flight Simulator while dual joystick setup? Of course you can. Do what you like. Use whatever controls you want. You could use a steering wheel to fly if you wanted to. It's just a control input. There's nothing to stop you doing it. Right, go to flight tracking. Everything checks out. We've got the Beechcraft King Air 350. We're in the right place. Start tracking, and that will load everything onto the plane. Plug-in is activated. Cool. We're good to go.
Engaging autopilot.
Let's reset the barrel. Try and find the master switch. There it is. Some lights on in here. That needs to be on FMS.
Pause system test. Okay.
Let's think. Flight plan. Right, origin is, let me bring the flight plan back. CYYU. And the destination is KARV. And we're going to add an en route waypoint of CMX. Should look it's found. Looks like it's got the right one though. And then let's have a look at the procedure tab. So procedures going in, approach RNAV 18 via transition diner. Beautiful. So if we go over to this screen, we should be able to see something like what we just saw. Well, look at that. Straight via the diner. Hello from Australia, Sling. Thank you, mate. Thank you for subbing. Okay, right. Let's put that into action. Let's get rid of that for now. Actually, what we can do is go to the map, zoom right in, and then we can see, because we're going to go out of 17 anyway. The wind here is variable at 3 knots, so we'll just take off out of 17. It'll be ultra convenient. You second the hello from down under. It's the right time of day for you guys, isn't it? Right, beacon lights going on. Let's get everything set up down here. Condition lever. Those right back. Let's get rid of that for now. Okay, we don't need that. Beacon light's definitely on, otherwise Honor will cry about it. Be glad you're not the only one upside down. Okay, right engine start. NG rising.
Your flight will be monitored
How the
until
heck?
you land and shut
No, you're
down
supposed
the
to be back
engines.
there. How did that move forward? That's really weird. We need to make sure we turn off the starter, because the plane absolutely freaks out if you don't turn the starter off. Right, left engine start. The only problem is it gets too late to join the group flight. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Not a lot I can do about time zones, unfortunately. I don't know, Matt. I don't know what would happen in real life with this plane. Okay, we have 2 engine starts. We can get the pitot heat on now. What is it? Oh, AT's -1. It's actually really cold outside. But we have no precipitation, I don't think. So we'll leave the pitot on. We won't bother with engine anti-ice just yet unless we see any cloud. That doesn't work. That's inop. Let's see. Windshield anti-ice. We'll put that on. Get rid of the caution. Align the heading bug to 17. Flight directors on. Nav mode enabled. And we're going to be V-speeding at about 1200 initially. Okay, then we're good to go. It's quite a nice setup, Echo. It's not perfect, and there's more stuff I want to do to it, but I'm definitely happy with where it's at the moment. Right, taxi light going on. Parking brakes off. Mind yourself, Jeff. We should get to see a nice sunrise today. Yeah, that windsock's pretty dead.
Approaching runway 17.
Right, runway 17. Navs and strobes. Landing lights going on. Flaps into takeoff.
Runway 17. 1,494 meters remaining.
More or less a straight climb out. Plenty of runway left, but we are a bit heavy today. So we're going to climb straight out, and then we're doing a right turn towards our onward waypoint. Right, let's see. Probably leave it fully forward. Power set. How's the game audio, by the way? Is it okay or quiet? They normally take off without any flaps, Goku. That's interesting. A bit like a Cessna then.
Airborne time logged.
Gears coming up. Good morning, Ferret. How you doing, sir? 1 second, I'm a little bit focused. Okay, flaps coming up. Start turning right now. Fortunately, we're flying away from the sun, not into it. Otherwise, it would have been slightly more interesting. Let's get rid of that now. We'll zoom that out so we can see the track we need. I can show you guys some footage from my real flying this week if you want, when we're in cruise. I know some of you saw it yesterday, but I think there's probably a lot of you that haven't seen anything yet, so I can show you a bit of that if that's of interest. Is the Kinga correct? What do you mean? Okay, yaw dumper's going on. Confirmed. Autopilot's going in. He did an intro like Microsoft Flight Sim. Yeah, we're in the Kengo 350 if that is the question. Okay, we can definitely do a better. And we're quite heavy. Let's try for 1800 and see what happens. Looks like a very clear, very smooth day in Canada. It's very cold, very stable air. I'll bring up the audio a little bit. No, the weather is working. That's what I just checked. I just checked that it's 30.29, which means it basically, if that's 29 and 92 and the skies are clear, a very good chance you're not on live weather. But if that pressure is anything but 29 and 92 and the sky's clear, there's a very good chance that you've got proper live clear weather. That's the way to check, really. Mr. Slamdoor, 15 months, and Fatty, my lord, have you had a problem creating a flight plan in this? When I put a departure airport in, it always says duplicate found. I can't even see my flight plan even if I set it up in the menu before I started. I've done what you've said on the stream but can't fix it. It's working fine for me, Fatty. Admittedly, I'm now using the Navigraph data, which definitely helps, but before that it was still okay for me. It sounds like you've got corrupt flight nav data, is what it sounds like. Because you should never really get a duplicate airfield like that. So I'm not really sure what to suggest there, Fatty, if I'm honest with you. Okay, pressure's still correct. We're passing 10,000. So landing lights are about to come off. That happened to you and it's a mod problem. Clear the mod folder and start rebuilding. Okay, Fatty, Panda's Gremlin, as a suggestion, you could, right, landing lights off. You could get rid of your mods and then let it do its thing. Yeah, you can see the clouds there, look. It's definitely live weather. I suspect the weather won't be like this when we get down into Wisconsin. Here are the climb speeds. If you follow them, the flight level change works correctly. 0 to 10,000, 170 knots indicated. Then 160, 150, 140. Where did you get those from, Zagoku? You have the glass cockpit FPS mod, that might be it. Well, I mean, as always with these things, Fatty, take all the mods out, get it working, and then gradually bring them back till you work out which one is causing the problem. Why are we not following? We're on FMS. We really got a ridiculous crosswind, but that seems to be a bit too much drift right now. One second, let's go to heading mode. And then back to nav mode. It seems like it's out of whack there, look. How odd. Normally when it's turned into wind, it still follows the line. Having said that, normally that line is magenta as well. It happened to you two right after updating no mods, just reinstalled to get it working again. So Alpha Projects had the same thing, Fatty, after the update. Basically, it gets slowly more wrong and then more right. Okay. Let's have a look. Can't get 350 flight notes. Set climb power to approximately 90% N1. Yeah, that doesn't work currently. This is expected to read approximately. See, a lot depends on how Honor's loading the... I don't believe Honor's loading correctly at the moment. I know the nose was pitched way too high last week. A typical power setting in the Kingo for the parameters chosen here is 66% on the torque. That will give you a fuel flow of around 575 pounds per hour at an airspeed of 185 knots. Propellers should be set to maintain 1500 RPM. Right, standard pressure. The worm is infecting you, causing it to go insane. Yep. The key to the game, Blangerveld, is to learn which plants you need to do certain things. There's certain meds that you need to not go insane. Or sleep and stuff. Like I say, you'll die a lot before you get it. Where are we going? We're going down to KARV. That's where we're going. From Canada, across Lake Superior, flying over this waypoint here, CMX I think it is, then down to Dinah, and then in on the RNF 18 into Takeoff. Simple Sim, what you're referring to? Oh, the 139, right. Do you have that feature that makes the sun go blurred? Nope. I'm quite happy with the way the sun looks, to be honest. Right, let's get back into cruise performance. Ground speed at 270. It's pretty good considering the airspeed. Notice your altitude went up and down quite quickly when moving the browser in and out. That shouldn't affect it in theory. Razor, I don't know, mate. Until there's an announcement, I don't know. Like, if Microsoft announces something, then it's public. If Microsoft doesn't announce something, then it's either not been told to anyone, or those that know are under NDA and can't tell you anyway. So, it's always the way. Unless you've seen it written publicly somewhere, then it's not been announced. I wish that was true, Justy. They go around Twitch looking for people asking, and every time they ask, they delay it by a week. Like, as a company, I'm sure they would want the Flight Simulator franchise to be running on as many consoles that they have as possible. Would be my assumption. So as a goal, they probably want to do it. When? If? Who knows? Fatman with a 1 year anniversary. Finally reached the 12-month sub. I feel so welcome here and love every stream. Thank you very much, dude. Enjoy that nice new acorn. Well, they don't own the Nintendo Switch, do they? They're only going to put it on their own platforms, which is primarily Windows and Xbox One X, XS, whatever it's called these days. I've just seen how the Arc turned out. I don't think Switch is a good look for Microsoft Flight Sim. I don't think they'd put it on Nintendo's platform anyway. Mr. D-Storm, thank you once again for 1,000 bits. I slept late. Good morning. Good to see you back in the mighty Kinga today. There's nothing wrong with a Sunday morning lie. Yeah, Sony owns PlayStation, Nintendo owns the Switch, Microsoft owns the Xbox. He went for a run, tripped, and had to run 6 kilometers back. Rip. Sounds like a fun morning. And Microsoft owns PC. Well, no, they don't. Microsoft owns Windows. Nobody owns the PC. Xbox has the worst naming. They've not done a very good job at Xbox naming, have they? I was kind of expecting a Y box at some point, or a Z box. But no, they just kept the Xbox title and then just iterated it to death. There's not a whole lot going on here in this part of Canada. It's all very, I don't know, not uninhabitable, but I don't imagine there's that many people living around. I imagine it's pretty brutal in winter here. Probably lots of wildlife. Do you hear there's another patch coming to Microsoft Flight Sim this week? Patch number 4, I think it is. Fixing more navigation issues. So we're going to be a lot of disappointed kids at Christmas with the console their parents accidentally bought because of the name. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Imagine that happening. Imagine the horror from your child. You bought the wrong one! I said this! I specifically wrote to Santa. How did it take to get your PPL? I think I did it in 18 months. But, you know, some people did it in like 3 or 4. It depends how much free time you have, how committed you are, how hard you want to work, what your finances look like. You know. My advice to you is just do it at your own pace unless you're trying to do it commercially. As in do PPL, do CPL, do ATPL, in which case the PPL is just a stepping stone, not a target. You're so committed to let you out for 1 hour a week. I'm wondering if we can't just go a bit higher, you know. Do a bit of climbing. Full-time course for your PPL was 6 weeks and a 2-year course from nothing to commercial with flight instructor endorsement. Yeah, if you can study full-time, like, I mean, like a lot of people, I had a full-time job to do whilst doing the PPL. And of course, you know, you can't just guarantee time every week because the weather gets in the way and that kind of thing. If you can be over at the school or the airfield, you know, 9 to 5 every day, not only can you just study, but you can go flying as soon as the weather picks up and you can smash through it. Depends how quickly you want to learn. Because I'm over talking the engine. Sony naming the next PlayStation Xbox 11 would confuse Microsoft. At least Sony just go PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that's naming. Just want to go high to see if we can get a better ground speed. Will you be doing more IRL flight videos? I'm editing one right now. Like I say, I can show you some footage from this week if you want. If the weather's good this week, I might go flying again. Never actually made it to one of your streams before. The time zone differences and whatnot. Sadly, I have to go to bed short. Just want to say hi. Love watching the videos. Bird28, completely understand. I assume you're down in Australia or somewhere. But yeah, totally get it. Thanks for popping in. Let's not start on the AMD Ryzen naming. It's not so bad. At least it's fairly consistent. And at least they went from 3,000 to 5,000 and missed 4,000 because it would have confused everybody. Next week's weather seems to be overcast, but not much rain. If it's overcast, I don't mind. It just depends on the cloud base. Like, you know, what level it's at. If it's overcast at 4,000, that's great. If it's overcast at 2,000, that's not great. They did a lot of 4,000 stuff. Mobile CPUs on 4,000, so they quite wisely just went right past 4,000 and went straight for 5. So, thus avoiding any confusion with their mobile stuff, which I think was a smart move. That's better. We're getting a much better ground speed now. Do. Let's see if I can find some footage for you guys. Of my flying. Try. Coming out okay? That's the... I'll turn the sound down. There's not much point having the sound. There's somebody going out. This is the, this is early this week. This is the nose camera. Down at North Weald. Some guy in front. I think he's a student. I can't remember. And you do the power-up checks and stuff. So this is departing North Weald. And yeah, Cessna 172. I'll show you the wing view in a second. Need to clean the window. Yeah, I finally turned the graphics up to ultra, and you know what, Floating Fat Man? I had no FPS issues whatsoever. Even on ultra settings, look at that. Void Speedy, thank you for subbing for 43 months. There was a heck of a crosswind. It's about a 13 or 16 knot crosswind coming in over the nose from right to left. So you can see the plane crabbing. It was quite a blustery day, to be fair. The windscreen would have driven you nuts. Here's the thing. You're that focused on flying, you don't even see it until you land, and then you look at the footage and you're like, why didn't I clean the windshield? That's the nose view on takeoff. The left, maybe like the left wing view. Oh, that's a bit later on. Hang on. There you go. Let's try that view. There you go. So that's the same thing, but obviously over the left wing. The parts talking about crabbing and using rudder for that. There's kind of two ways of doing it. You can either just use straight rudder and turn into wind, or you can actually tilt the wings into wind and use the rudder to keep the nose straight. There's two different ways. I will kind of cover it in a future tutorial video. That's the M11 there, if you know the M11. That's the London skyline in the distance. This is heading more or less south out of North Wheel, looking towards London. At about 1 PM, I think it was. So just after midday. So what I'm doing is I'm turning towards the east and heading towards Chelmsford. Well, I don't own the plane, Matt, so I can't, you know, painting it is not an option. You see how, look at that, get chucked around quite a bit. It's a really blustery day. Let's see if we've got Chelmsford. Yeah, so this is the 414 that goes into Chelmsford here, if you know Chelmsford at all. So that is, what's that called? Can't remember the name of that little village. That's the 414 into Chelmsford. There's a McDonald's about here. Hang on. Here. There's McDonald's there, I think. That's the new shopping centre. That used to be Britvic. All of that land there was Britvic factory. That's where they made the bottles. McDonald's is right there. That's the Britvic factory that's gone and is now a big shopping centre thing. Let's see, where are we? That's Tesco roundabout. That's Molsham School. That's the Army and Navy roundabout there. There's the cricket ground, Chelmsford Cricket Ground's here. And Chelmsford City Centre's there. That's the Army and Navy. That's Chelmer Village, if you know Chelmsford at all. Chelmer Village. About 2,200 at this point. We need to be at like a glide safe altitude. Effectively, the way you need to think about it is, if I have an engine failure, can I glide away from these houses? That's literally what is in your mind. That's Chelmer Village there. That's the A12 that goes around Chelmsford. That's heading northbound. That's Springfield. Whittam's here, and then Colchester's much further along. Drive-through Mac is in a plane. Yeah, absolutely. So then get this next file up. Then we get forget the name of that town. Whittam's next. So what I do is I get more or less to Whittam, which is here. And this is where I start talking to Southend, because I want to go and fly over Southend. So I talked to Southend at this point, and they're busy. They're just changing controller, so they asked me to hold. So overhead Whittam here. This is where I basically do a donut as I'm talking to them. Yes, Mr. Colin. You'll see this video on my YouTube channel this week. So this is where I'm just doing a turn over Whittam. And then I get clearance to enter controlled airspace at Southend. So now I'm heading towards Southend. And this is the entry point here. I think it is. It's called... can't remember the name of the VRP. What cameras do you use to capture the footage? GoPro. These are Hero 5s on the outside and Hero 7s on the inside. So we're traveling along here. Like I say, this is a VRP, a visual reporting point, but I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to look on Skydemon. But what I'm doing is I basically asked them for a transit. Actually, let's just bring up Skydemon 1 second. Let's get a bit of context. Actually, I'll put that over there and put that over here. I could probably talk a bit better. There are updates, great stuff. Oh, 1 second. Guess the new nav data's out. So, yeah, you can see my track here. So that was Chelmsford. There's Whittam. And there's Northey Island. That's it, Northey Island. So right now, we are overhead. That is that waypoint there, Northey Island. So you can see I'm already in Stansted control airspace at this point. Technically, I'm just under it there. Technically, I could have flown to Malden and waited here, but I like talking to them here because they're often, you know, busy, and you can basically start flying this way while you're talking to them, and then you get to Northey Island, and then you start heading southbound. And at this point, I now enter their control airspace. Southend is basically here. We'll fly over Southend shortly. Too many symbols in the message. Gotta watch out for them symbols. Let's see. So you can tell by this water feature here that we're at Southwood and Ferrers. That's got a V on it. Southwood and Ferrers, so that's a VRP as well over there. Let me bring up the next one. Just that one, I think. Yeah, there you go. So we'll skip forward a bit. Yeah, so we're now about here on the map. I'm hoping you can see all this. Is it easy to understand ATC in real life? In the videos, it always sounds bad. It's something that you kind of learn and then get better at, I think. Altitude at this point, I think I was told, if I remember the ATC instructions, it was not below 2,000 feet. So I think I went to 2,300, or maybe 2,000, no, 2,500 I think I went to. I like to stay at least 300 feet clear of whatever restriction we've got, just in case you get like a bit of wind shear or something, or you're focused and start, you know, you're not paying attention basically. So I think we're at 2,500 at this point, but I can't go below 2,000, he said. And then that right there is Southend Airfield. So according to that map there, Ashington, this is Ashington, which is north of the airfield. Ibanez, really enjoying all the content since finding your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the support. And 2 months. And Tom Andrews, thanks for 34. Void Speedy with 43. And Kleinster, thank you for subbing. Welcome. So yeah, we're overhead south end shortly. The right camera might give us a nicer view of south end. There was actually a Cessna taking off, if I remember. We can't see it on this camera. I think the other camera shows it. There is actually a Cessna barreling down the runway just as we overfly south end. Yeah, let's try flicking camera. I don't know if you can see him or not, but there's a little white dot right there on the threshold of the runway. He's just lined up, and he will start moving. He's there. You see him? Now he's moving now. In days gone by, I would see EasyJets landing here and taking off, but you can see them all parked up there. It's quite sad, really. They're all nose to tail along there. Just jets. This is where I normally park my plane when I go to Southend, but it's just covered in jets right now. Everything's just parked up. How will you stop the shaking? You can't really stop the shaking. That's just vibration, unfortunately, going through this strut. The actual shuttering on the propeller, you can stop by putting an ND filter on the camera, which is what I do on the nose camera, but you can't really do it on the external camera because it's encased in a strong case, and there's nowhere to put an ND filter on it. No, they're not on a suction cup. Good grief. No. You would never do that. Never ever put a suction on the outside. Basically, you know, on a plane, it has the little tie rings where you tie the plane down. I have a clamp that I got from the States, and it's basically, you have like a bolt that goes on the inside of the ring, and then it has a wing nut that tightens in. It has multiple washers, and then a clamp lever, so you pull the lever down that crushes the whole thing together, and then it has a split pin safety pin that goes through the bolt as well, so even if the whole thing comes loose, the wing nut will spin and then stop at the safety pin and the whole thing won't fall off. So it's thoroughly clamped on. And then the case itself locks shut like a normal GoPro case, and then has an extra sliding lock across it. So effectively everything is like double locked, basically. Because what you don't want is anything falling off the aircraft. You know, the worst case scenario, that could hit somebody. Yeah, that was Southend. This is the pier out at Southend. So we're now, if you look at this, that Southend pier is obviously a VRP. So that's a reporting point there. And then I asked him for a routing to Sheerness. Sheerness is on the other side, which is that there. And at Sheerness, when we pass over it, you'll see there's like an oil rig platform there. On the right side here, which is where this is, where it's got these danger circles, these are always active pretty much. They're gas venting stations, so you can't fly anywhere near these because they vent gas out at random times of the day. Your friend flies a 172 out of North Weald. Well, this particular one was November Whiskey Foxtrot Charlie. There is Foxtrot Charlie, Foxtrot Golf, Foxtrot Sierra, and then there's Foxtrot Tango, but that's used for training. But if you go forward slightly, you'll see this oil rig. And I think, if I'm correct, I think that there, it's either that or something over here. There's a sunken World War II vessel which has an unexploded bomb in it. I can't remember if it's that or something else. It's coned off somewhere with like life buoys. It has an unexploded bomb in it, and they leave it because if they tried to get rid of it, they reckon it would blow up and create a shockwave of water that would flood a lot of Southend. No, it's flying live. Silverfire, I mean, the problem you've got is like 4G masts as you're flying around. There you go. So there's some kind of, like, platform, I think, being built. I'm not sure, you see it? But that is Sheerness right there. And this here, car imports. Lots, just thousands of cars. So now we're turning eastbound and flying towards Canterbury, which is the next waypoint here. So at this point I'm kind of out of control airspace for Southend. So I just stayed on frequency with them. You know the ship you're talking about, not one bomb, it was an ammo carrier. So it'd be a very big boom if it went off, no doubt. So then there's not a lot goes on. That is Whitstable town on the left. Whitstable. Unaccountable Gamer, thank you for 2 years. I've gone up to 24 months, just over 24 hours. Nice. So yeah, it's just cruising now, really. So what's the next one? So now we're passing over this bit here. This, it's called the Swale, apparently. And then we get to Canterbury. So Canterbury's obviously got a big cathedral, but I don't know from the sky, I don't know where it is. Canterbury Cathedral's quite well known. So we turn to Canterbury, and now we are heading towards Ashford, which is in Kent. Ashford is, you'll recognise Ashford because it has a massive shopping centre that makes it very easy to spot, and it has rail stations because it's where the Eurotunnel comes in, I believe, at Ashford. There you go. So you can see it from a long way away. It's a very unique kind of shaped building. Thank you, Sabidemi. So this is Ashford here. As we turn over it, you'll see the train station. Because we're going to be turning and then heading south towards Lydd in a second. Good afternoon, Commander Arana. When was this fire offline? This was on Wednesday, I think, I went out. But this will be in a video this week. So yeah, this is it. There's the shopping centre and then a huge train network. And then they go off to the Eurotunnel, I believe. Alright, Aqua Vitali. See you in a bit. There you go, you see all that. So, I mean, that is a really, really obvious waypoint, which is why I use Ashford. It's pretty busy though. So then we're tracking now south. So when you get to Ashford, you basically want to be talking to Lydd at this point, because one of the reporting points for Lydd is Ashford. And it's about the right distance to start talking to them to say, you know, I'm inbound from North Weald, I'm overhead Ashford, blah, blah, blah. And they'll then advise you on the mess that is currently Lydd. As you can see, it has a lot of danger areas right now. A lot of stuff, because you've got all this drone flying that's going on over the channel, which you might think doesn't affect you, except the drone operators operate out of Lydd. So, if you was to break it down, this one here, this danger area 44, this is sometimes active, sometimes not. It's a shooting range. There's an army firing range here. and it was active today. This one is Dungaree's power station, which is pretty much always active to 2,000 feet. So you have to avoid both of these at all times. This one here, this activated one, you'd have to have a look at what that is. But you can see that it's UAS, so it's drones is what it is. It's drone operations. And it's running from the 12th to the 16th of October currently. So, you know, it depends on when you go in. They're trying to find people trying to cross the channel. People keep getting on boats trying to get over here, you see, seeking asylum. And they're risking their own lives doing it. So they try and catch them with drones, probably with thermal cameras. So then this is Lid. So you can see the circuit of Lid is not a normal rectangle. It's actually compressed. It has this bit cut off because of the power station. So you're actually allowed to fly within, if you like, the danger area of the power station as long as you conform to this shape. Now, because we're landing on 2-1, what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. This is a 2-1 entry pattern. This is a lot easier than 0-3. I've done 0-3, and 0-3 is quite interesting. So with 2-1, we'll come in and we fly over the threshold of 0-3, and then we make a left downwind, which is what you'll see shortly, a left downwind pattern, and then land on 2-1. With 0-3, what you have to do is you come in over the threshold of 2-1, and when you turn downwind, you've got to come in overhead at 1,500 feet. Now they're at sea level, so you're at a genuine 1,500 foot altitude, and then you've got to lose 1,500 feet from your downwind leg into 0-3, which has been curtailed. And pretty much when I've flown it, you more or less power off from about this point here, trying to scrub altitude and speed and get in on 0-3. You more or less glide that in. It's quite a fun approach, but this one, the one that we're going to do, this is way more interesting to look at visually, because what you'll see, you get the sea, you get all the houses, the sea colour's lovely, and 2-1 is an approach that I prefer. Now Lid, if you've got an instrument rating, Lid let you do instrument approaches. They have a VOR, which is used for holds, and they have full instrument landing that you can do. So it's a lot of people come here to do instrument practice, stuff like that, and the landing fee is like, I think, £24, which is quite reasonable considering the equipment that's available here. How long were you flying? I think the flight was about an hour and 10 or 15 to Lid. So anyway, let's skip forward in the video and you'll get to the more interesting bit now. So you normally report 4 miles north of Lid, which is about here. So we'd call in 4 miles north of the airfield and they'll say, you know, coming overhead, report downwind. Oh no, they normally say report overhead. And then I put in a call overhead. You can see the field here. Put in a call overhead and they tell you to report downwind. So that's the threshold of 0-3 right there, which is here. That is the power station over there, and the shooting range is over here. And we're going to fly over the threshold of this, report overhead, and then make a left downwind. De Esquire, I use a tool called MSFS Bridge. This tool here, Microsoft Flight Sim Bridge, which is available on Sim Market for about €6, and it works fantastically well with Skydemon and 4Flight. So as you see when we turn left here, it's a really nice approach into Lid. Oh, Mr. Squirrel's brought snacks. Yeah, the sea is a lovely green colour. I mean, this is raw footage out of a GoPro, so I'll enhance this in Premiere. Make it look a bit nicer. Now you'll see when I come in to turn on final, I make a little bit of a mistake. Because, so what's happening right now is somebody else is on a 4 or 6 mile final. And I don't know whether the controller's going to let us go in before him or not. So what I start doing is I start dumping all the flaps and slowing right down. I'm expecting him to go in before me, and then I'll have to do an extended downwind leg. That's what I'm thinking, because he's on an instrument approach, and I'm thinking he'll be given priority. So I slow down thinking that, you know, he'll be going in before us, and then Tower basically tells me to turn on base, and I'm number 1. At which point, I'm trying to sort of descend rapidly, get rid of speed, and I'm thinking about this guy on the approach, which I shouldn't be doing. I should be focused on what I'm doing. And so I don't take into account crosswind. Yeah, because there's a very strong crosswind today, and I don't take it into account. So what happens is, I turn too early onto final, and I end up left of the runway, because the wind, as I turn on base, yeah, as I turn on my base leg here, the wind is now in my face, and I don't take into account that fact. And you'll see what happens. Twixer, thank you for 44 months. Rainy Sunday. Got time to watch? Dude, it's sunny here. You should come here. So now I feel a little bit rushed, because I'm thinking about this guy on the final approach, and I don't want him to have to go around. And really, it's not my problem. But again, you know, every time you fly, you kind of learn a bit more about what you should have done. But you'll see me turn too early now. You haven't flown to North Wheel in a while. Hope we see you next month before you can fly again post-COVID. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my SCP. My SCP expired at the end of September. Got extended because of COVID, and I've got to put about another hour's flying in, and then I'll have it extended for 2 years. So there you go. There is my dreadful left turn onto final. It actually looks worse than it is. It's not as bad as that. The camera angle makes it look really, really bad. But that's the crosswind for you. So now I'm tracking right into wind, trying to get back on course. I've not flown into Andresfield. No, that's got... Is it 2 grass runways at Andresfield? If I remember. That's just west of Earl's Cone, isn't it? Yeah, all these birds on final here. Luckily underneath. Now, for a strong crosswind, that's not a bad landing. Notice the nose wheel vibrating. That's an oscillation problem with the dampener not working properly. The dampener should be stopping that. And I'm trying to speed up, get off the runway for this guy. I'll show you the nose cam in a second. Nah, it's not gonna... There's nothing wrong with the ED, it's just a dampener issue. The actual nose wheel's fine, it's just the dampener's not stopping that oscillation. But it is... This was 6 hours off going in for its maintenance, so I think it's probably one of the items that'll get sorted out. Just gonna see if I can find... There we go. So this is the same approach. Let me just check that plane's not crashing. Overhead CMX. All right, I need to focus on the King Air shortly. This is the same thing. But from the nose wheel point, the nose point of view. Again, it can look, the angles can look a little bit weird because the nose camera is looking left slightly, and it should be facing forward. So everything looks a little bit off. Now this camera has an ND filter on it, which basically means it's like having sunglasses on. So you get a much more polarized sky effect, and you also get no Venetian blind effect with the propeller. Hence why the propeller looks a lot smoother on this camera. You see the wind pushing me now? It's pushing me right to left. I should have slowed down the turn. No, it decreases the shutter speed. Neo, if you put sunglasses on, there's not as much light getting in, so it has to basically slow the shutter speed down. Because what I do is I cap the ISO limit in the camera, so when it reaches the ISO limit, its only option is to slow the shutter speed down, which causes a more blurry shot, hence why the propellers blur rather than... If you increase the shutter speed, you'll catch them like... When they're moving, you'll catch them mid-turn, and then you get this horrible, like, horizontal line called the Venetian effect. The windsock is just here. You can see it? So you can see the wind coming in. It's very strong. And that's a damper issue, which basically stops when you get below a certain speed. It stops.
AWAS is 121.125.
Okay, I think we're okay. We're going to start descending shortly in the sim. Bit of a dog of an aircraft. Dude, this is what happens when you fly group planes. Which is why I'm trying to find a share of a plane. They basically get abused by people. Part of the reason why that nose is a bit gone is because you'll get people who just land them on the nose wheel. No, I was not alone in the plane. There's quite a lot of activity at Lid when we're taking off. So this was about an hour and a bit later. The weather had changed. Over to the east, it was all nice and sunny, and then over to the west, as you'll see shortly, the weather is coming in from the west, and there's quite some nasty weather coming in. By 7 o'clock tonight, this is overcast, 300 feet rain. So it's not brilliant weather coming in. How many passengers? Maximum 4. But yeah, you see the crosswind though. So another sporty takeoff. This guy was doing instrument approaches. Another sporty takeoff. Keeping it real. Now remember, directly ahead of us is the danger area, yeah? The power station and the shooting range. So you climb out to about 500 feet and you have to make a right turn fairly quickly. But there's the crosswind there. So, this was my planned flight out of Lid. So going back, I'm going to do a completely different thing. I'm going to have to focus on the plane in the sim in a second. So the immediate thing is the right turnout. But what I want to do is I want to track south along the coast of England. So down through Hastings, Eastbourne, down to Brighton Marina, then right turn. Up through Tunbridge Wells, over the Brands Hatch Racecourse, over the QE2 bridge at the Dartford Crossing, and then back in. So I'm going to avoid Southend completely on the way back. Now coming back, it was a lot smoother. The journey there was bumpy, but coming back it was way better. Well, here you can see, basically turning right, that's Lyd, right there, the town of Lyd, which is here. So we're just turning overhead, climbing out to Rye, which is straight ahead somewhere. So left of us is that danger area. Right, I'm just going to pause that because I need to deal with what's going on here for a second. I'm going to have a look at the charts. So we're coming in to from Dinah to Fegog, 3,300 minimum. So 5 nautical that way, 19 nautical from Dinah approximately to Fegog. So we've got plenty of space there. If we get down to Fegog by about 3,300, which is 19 from Dinah. And Dinah is currently 62 plus the 19. It's about 81. And we want to get down to 3,300. So we've got to lose about 23,000 feet. So we need to pretty much start descending. Try and keep the same similar ground speed.